Can we get a clap? No. A singular clap.
It's too late now. It doesn't happen.
What's up? Welcome to the Get the Goods podcast. I am Mike Floss.
Yes, sir.
We got Jamel Campbell Gooch.
We in here.
Self-proclaimed.
Yes, sir.
And
Public
world-renowned
all day.
public figure.
Yes, sir.
We got Erica Perry, the Erica Perry, the Honorable Esquire.
Yes, sir.
Pierre Escargot.
Oui. Como estás?
It's the Get the Goods podcast. We're going to talk news. We're going to talk movement.
Yeah.
We're going to talk culture. We're going to talk art. We're going to talk all of the things. And we here for the people, for the culture.
All day,
and, like we do every time, which I've been paying attention to in the news. What's popping?
So, of course, we saw Cory Booker kind of staged a 24-hour... 25 plus hour protest speech.
Filibuster.
Yeah. On the Senate floor, the U.S. Senate floor earlier this week, which got a lot of attention. I think also, it's been some conversation around his voting record. Folks have lifted that up as an issue. And then at the same time, folks also seeing it as inspiring and seeing like, okay, well, I think when you get one person stand up, other people feel empowered and emboldened to stand up too. So folks are kind of living in that. Is it a Venn diagram? Living in that moment.
Are you 92%?
The Venn diagram is back.
Living in that moment. So that's one piece of the news. The other thing is that, it is. We live in there.
Are you finna move on from Cory Booker?
Oh yeah, you want to stay at Cory Booker?
Can we stay there?
Yeah, stay there. I want to know before we say anything. I want to know what's y'all's take. Are you for it or you not impressed?
I had a crush on him in the early 2000s when he was on Twitter going wild about being the mayor.
So that tells us everything we need to know.
I'm saying, no, his record is a mess, right? And and he is voted in harmful ways.
Right.
And still inspiring. Yeah. People still feel like, oh, we were looking for somebody to take this type of action. Maybe now I'll go to a mass meeting. Maybe now I feel more empowered and maybe I can move through my fear. Because a lot of people have been stuck in frozen space and folks have been like, black people going to sit this one out. So maybe black people going to get our fans and we'll get out more.
And put our boots on the ground.
Yeah, come on.
That's the second time.
What about you, Jamel?
So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it's doing what it's supposed to do. One thing I want to make sure I'm able to do is step out of my shoes and step into the perspective of somebody else. And I think that's what Erica just described. Yeah. Also, the person that he broke the record of is Strom Thurmond, I think is his name, Strom Thurmond. But he did it in protest to the Civil Rights Bill. So just a racist senator, you know what I'm saying?
Out of the South.
So let's get that record about it.
Yeah, so I'm down with breaking that record. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm for it in that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm rocking with it. Now, directly, does it actually solve the issues we face? No. But there's a value in political theater.
Nah, for real.
There's a value in taking a loud stance on something that a lot of people is being quiet about. A lot of politicians are scared of Trump because he pulling strings behind the scenes is making folks' life very difficult. Yeah. So
and in real life, like making people's life real difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
And literally deporting people.
Yeah. So
harassing people. Yeah.
So I think taking a stance like that will embolden more people to stand up, and I think that's what it's going to take. It's going to have to be loud. We're not going to be able to just quietly.
No.
They being real loud.
No, for real.
So I think we can respond in kind.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was going to say to that point, students have been protesting at Columbia, really protesting Columbia, the institution's collaboration with the administration to, supporting deporting students who were protesting the genocide in Gaza last year. And so I'm just thinking about how they've seen repression, and then at the same time, students are still protesting.
Do you think if Cory Booker would have done this during the first Trump administration, that it would have made a bigger splash? Like a louder wave, because I'm gonna tell you across my timelines, I ain't really seen it. I ain't really see it unless I went out and looked for it.
I seen it a little bit,
just a little bit though. But it's like he stood up there for 25 hours straight. That's a pretty big.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That ain't a small deal.
I've seen it from people. Yeah.
But I'm saying, do you think if he did it during the first Trump administration, it would have been different? Let me tell you why.
More.
Because I think the media has adjusted to those type of tactics. So where at one point in time it would have been like, oh my God, this dude is doing this. It's like, this is just an asterisk. Because I think the media is also not wanting us to activate in the way that we activated before. You remember when they were showing us at one point in time, anytime that there was any type of protest, it was on the screen.
Yeah.
It don't matter where it was. It could be Philadelphia, Hawaii. It could be anywhere. It could be Canada. Yeah. And they showing it. But now it's like the students at Columbia, I didn't even know that. And it's just, and I remember like the Cory Booker thing, it was just like at the bottom of the screen at one point. It was just like a side note to everything else going on.
Also because there's so much news happening really, really quickly, like billions of dollars in funding being lost to like social services, hundreds of thousands of, people being laid off from both corporate and public institutions. So it's a lot happening.
And it's a ratings game. It could be possible that the general public is just not that enthused.
Out of that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. What that I had some other news, but the other piece of news I'll share is that in Nashville, like I think at least 390 something nonprofits will lose like $1.5 billion in funding federal funding across those 300 and something institutions because of the cuts to federal funding and federal services across across the country. And so other cities are experiencing that too. So I think for us, we have to be thinking about, while I do believe it's the role of government to provide social goods, at the same time, I recognize that some of those nonprofits were and won't be able to do that anymore.
Right.
So what does that mean for young people who need housing? What does that mean for even Nashville? They couldn't, because of the federal funding cutting of like access to healthcare, some folks the local health department is losing funding around COVID-19 free vaccines and support. And so just thinking about how are we prepared to support our communities and support our families.
Sound like folks need to get activated and throw down on the local budget, huh?
Yeah, and get active in an organization too.
For sure.
Sound like folks need to join
an organization.
Yes,
sir. Yeah. The other thing is
I
wonder how like this is going to influence the amount of mobilization that it would take to keep our downtown dollars in Nashville. Downtown makes like almost $9 billion, but the state takes the majority of that money.
Yeah.
So I wonder what kind of, after that happens, is that going to translate into actually mobilization in another area to get more resources into our community?
It has to, like we're going to have to apply pressure like on the state level. The state is passing some extremely harmful legislation when it comes to like access to education across the board, access to other social goods. So you're right.
Yeah. So something I've been keeping up with is remember we talked about it early on the podcast, XAI, that quantum computer that Elon Musk was bringing to Memphis.
Yeah.
So they've been the organizing against it in Memphis has been picking up. So I've been kind of keeping up with that back and forth, and it's been super interesting. And I think like Memphis particularly has a history of like the environment and actually stopping things from happening.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting way of playing out. And it's playing out while the entire country is like, we ain't really rocking with Elon or Tesla.
Exactly. Ain't he finna be let go of his job with the Department of Government Efficiency?
Yeah, doggy. I'm just like,
right.
Juicy, smooth yank.
Whatever it's called.
Yeah. The other thing is there was an investigation, and I think it started like at the end of last year where they had found out like metro like security guards downtown were wearing police patches.
I saw that.
You saw that?
In Nashville?
In Nashville,
okay.
Yeah, like they were wearing police, and I can't remember the specific security firm, but it was a particular security firm that was like giving they folks badges that said giving them, and they're like, these are not police officers.
Yeah.
So they've been testifying in court, just telling folks like, no.
My goodness. Okay.
And some of them wouldn't wear it. It was this one black lady that was like, I didn't wear it because I'm not the police.
Yeah. And her boss was telling her to wear it, like just put this on. Yeah.
And speaking of Memphis, Representative Justin Pearson confronted Representative Foreman after Representative Foreman was talking to him. Really, and all Representative Pearson was trying to pass legislation to support and address gun violence, but of course the evil that is existing down there at that Capitol.
Yeah, and it's because Pearsons had lost a loved one.
Yeah, his brother.
Yeah, to gun violence. So he was like, he had come back after taking a break.
Yeah,
and was like, here's a piece of legislation to kind of help that out. And I haven't dug into the legislation, but because I don't know what it is. But the Representative Farmer gonna say, well, we have been here working on things. We haven't been taking no breaks. Like, dang, bro.
It just
he ain't lying. They ain't taking no breaks.
Right, no. They like, our evil does not sleep, which means
it don't
I'm just
stop.
like, oh, your life is horrible, and you want to invite me into your hell, and I'm declining. I'm not going to hell with you, bro. You gonna jingle bell. I'm not going to hell. Okay?
What the hell?
Right. What the heliante? What the heli Springer?
What's your news?
Man, y'all
Give us
kind
something
of
good.
some good news.
Oh, I got some good news.
New outfits or something. New
I
shoes.
know about them.
Okay, come on, that's good.
You got to spread the good news.
The good news. Dang, I think y'all took all of my news.
The TBI raided the law office of the folks investigating the Nashville Police Department, working with the state legislature to pass a law that undermines the community. Like Nashville voted for the Community Oversight Board.
Yeah, that was wild.
That's news too. But
I do have one thing. I saw this. There's a Mexican artist that dropped an Olmec head on the Tesla.
Oh yeah, that's fire.
Oh, that's
it was
fire.
so fire.
Oh, that was fire.
That was good.
It was so fire, and he was just posted up in front of it. It was so hard, and I was just like, have we ever seen a company so aligned with the political position that people in mass have taken a stance against that company as though they're taking a stance against a political party?
Right. No, for real.
I don't know if in history it's been a company and a political agenda has been aligned so closely.
No, and what's
not in this way. I can't.
No,
think
and
of it.
what I wanted to build off of that. So there was a piece of legislation that was passed that stopped rural fiber optic cable from being laid in rural counties across the country. So the last president was like, we need to connect rural counties to internet through fiber optic cables, right? So the current president stopped that from happening and was like, you know what? You need to holler at Elon about his Skylink. So they trying to get those rural counties to hook up directly to Elon Skylink. The only problem is it's slower.
Of course,
it's more expensive. But it just plays to what you just talked about. Like, there's literally policies that are being driven towards that trying to help that company out.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, he did lose in Wisconsin. He was trying to pay for votes.
The judicial race.
Yes, and lost. That's good news, I would say.
Yeah. What's been going on in y'all lives, man? Tell us about the Lord or something. We know what you want to do.
Jamel gonna start us off.
I mean, I've been in my life, it's been pretty steady. I think this point in the year is kind of like, for me, it kind of like evens out. Like, it's like you got the pace now. It's like it really ain't the beginning of the year no more. It's headed towards the middle. I mean, the summer's there. So this little area right here, because, April is pretty much like in schools, you starting to slow down. And May is pretty much school
I
over.
love that you said that.
So it's like,
because this is testing season.
For sure.
So what test are you going to prepare for your next?
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah,
What test are you going through?
For me, it's patience.
God has a Scantron sheet.
Hey, you got a bubbling answer?
And the answer is always Jesus.
Say all the way down the sheet.
I do feel like almost every year, it's like, okay, if I can just learn this lesson, then I can get to the other side of it. So what's your April or
spring?
Spring kind of like
what
lesson.
Season you planning?
Yeah.
Man, I was on Eugene about this earlier. I'm in a spot creatively where what I need to be doing is not what I want to be doing. So what I need to be doing is working on some music that's supposed to be coming out later on in the year to prep these releases.
Yep.
But I've been so locked in on the sewing machine. I'm like, man, I'd much rather make this jacket. Like, I'm trying to make this jacket right now. And it's fighting me a little bit, but the process is, I love the process.
Yeah.
I love the process of creating it. So I didn't record. I'm lying. I wrote some raps during the tornado when they woke us up.
At 3 o'clock?
At 3 o'clock in the morning, yeah. I was like, well, I'm up. I might as well be productive. I wrote some raps then, but I ain't really touched no music. And I'm like, dang, I see what happened with Rihanna.
No, you see it now. You like, get it.
We're never getting that album.
Nah, for real.
Because it's just like once you lock in and it consumes so much of your attention and energy. And it's rewarding in the same ways.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dang, is this my passion? Is this? I don't know.
How do you think the song is rewarding you?
Man, one, I listen to audiobooks when I sew.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So it's like there's a slowing down and a learning that's happening.
Yes.
But there's also like craftsmanship.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved working with my hands. I'm like, if I wasn't doing music, I always say I'd be a mechanic. Because I just love like putting things together. Except being a mechanic is more expensive than cotton. So I'm going to go with, like fabric.
Got you. Okay.
Car engine costs more than a hoodie.
Oh, shit. What's going on?
My fault. I skipped some steps. But yeah, so I don't know. I like working with my hands. I've always loved clothes. And my grandma loved clothes. You know what I'm saying? My grandma, in her later years, she had dementia. And we bought her some clothes for her for like Christmas and her birthday because she liked clothes. Even with the dementia, if you hand her some clothes, she do like this. She rub it in between her fingers.
Oh, yeah.
To check to see if it's quality or not.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta know.
Got to.
That never left her.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, that's been in my family for a long time. So I guess maybe that's something that's some level of craftsmanship. And then like just thinking about slow fashion versus fast fashion, because my stuff that I make is very slow fashion.
Right.
It take me a long time. But it's very rewarding, and it's just kind of like balancing what you should be doing and what you want to be doing. But neither of those things are wrong. It's just a matter of like determining your priorities.
Is that true about life? The things that take the longest are the most rewarding. Is that kind of true? I don't know.
It got to be because I ain't married yet.
Nah, that's real.
And like when that comes, it's gonna be very rewarding.
Look, I'm like, this need to be easy.
I mean, they talk about quality over quantity.
I think it just
that's what that
depends.
means.
Some stuff, I kind of do agree with you, but I'm over that.
You over what? Marriage?
No.
Oh.
What you over, Erica?
I'm just over being like, one, just because it takes time doesn't mean it's going to be amazing, or if it comes quick, it's not amazing. Like, I don't know. I have to sit with that more. And I think that I have been in this internal conversation with myself and just wrestling, with God about it. But like, I appreciate it. I'm like, I wanted to be a lawyer, and I knew how many years that was going to take. Mm-hmm. There are other things that I'm waiting on or that I have in mind, and it's like, I have no idea when this is going to happen. And usually with stuff, I can set a goal, and I'm going to meet it.
Like what things? Just out of curiosity.
Thanks.
How long did it take you to become a lawyer?
It was like 3 years.
So,
I'm like, oh my gosh, why is... And then I was like, I want to do what I'm doing now. And I was like, I thought about it in 2018, and I started doing it in 2022. Like, why is this taking so long?
That doesn't seem like a long time to you.
No, that's pretty quick. That's a high school career.
Yeah, it's not. I have a timeline. And so when things don't work in my timeline, I kind of be like...
Ooh, this is a good conversation. What is on your timeline? And maybe this might be for another episode, but the timeline of life is a thing. People be like, by this age, I want this.
It's not even that.
So
it's
curious
just
what
like,
people put on theirs.
Like, and it's also, I guess, the thing that I'm realizing is actually the issue is not the timeline. It's like, do I really want it? Like, do I really want a solid relationship right now? Like, what do I actually want? Because I feel like if I really wanted it, I would like make it more of a priority. But obviously, what I really want to be doing is my work, because that's my priority. So I think I just have to think about my priorities and then situate myself in it. And maybe that's kind of where I landed a few days ago. Mm-hmm. Because I was like, why is this taking so long? Why is this not happening for me?
Lil Bow Wow lied to all of us.
What'd he say?
He was just so successful at such a young age.
We
believed it was possible.
I feel like I'm successful. That's why I'm like, dang, I'm successful.
You not Lil Bow Wow successful.
Ain't none of us Lil Bow Wow.
I feel
No.
like I am.
When Lil Bow Wow was like 13, the nigga had a movie.
Right. What are
I
you
feel
talking
like
about?
you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
you ain't Lil Bow Wow
But I
successful.
feel like
Don't do
good
that.
about where I am in my life.
You Lil Bow Wow successful. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise.
I thank you. I
Yeah.
feel good about where I am in life, actually.
Yeah.
It's just a few things where I'm like, if this, I need this to fall in place, or maybe I don't. I don't know.
So you just said two things that like contradict each other. So
Duh,
how do you
yes,
reconcile
this is
that?
my life.
How do you reconcile how do you navigate that dilemma? Because that's a because that don't really have a solution to it that's under your control.
I
When
know.
when you talking to yourself, who's winning?
That's a good.
That's
question.
a good question. That's crazy,
I
right?
love that question. Do y'all have an inside head, voice inside your head?
Yeah.
Hey, some people don't.
Some
Just
people
one?
don't. No, that's real.
How many voices do you have?
I gotta
It's
ask.
just two. It's me talking to me. Do y'all have?
I just got one.
But do the voices have different kind of tones?
No, one don't have a deep voice and a high voice.
Oh yeah, because if you
Yeah, we
call
know
me one day,
yours.
you might get a different voice.
You know.
And I talk different to myself based on the conversation.
Denzel called Erica. Erica was going, hello. Denzel said, hello?
He said, "Is somebody got Erica phone?" It's like, oh no, this is my voice right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So
You
so
really
Erica's
gotta-
right.
We're gonna keep you lifted in prayer.
Anyways.
Any given day.
Mike, you shared what's going on in your life?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to share these two things. One, audiobooks, amazing. Thank you for encouraging me to do that, because I really was fighting it because I felt like I was cheating by not reading the book.
No, you're
But
saving
I can
time.
see
I've been listening to audiobooks just as a kind of like, because some of the podcasts be like, people be mean to each other, and I'm like,
Man,
I want
super
a
mean.
soft voice in my world when I'm
got
cleaning up and doing stuff. But the other thing is Survival of the Thickest. Y'all should watch it. It's
Hold
so
on, what?
good.
What?
Survival of the Thickest.
This sounds like my type of film.
It's on Netflix.
Never heard of that.
It's really, really good. It's like
What is this about?
It's a black queer love story. It's this black lady who's like having this love relationship thing. It's a beautiful story. And there's a black man character in it who's like, he goes to therapy because he's having these issues, and he's like, and the therapist is like the guy from The Wire who was, I don't know, when you see it, you'll be like, dang, this man a therapist in this show. So it's just really, really, really good. And it's about art, and it's about fashion.
Yeah.
And it's just this beautiful community where folks are like building and doing life together and like growing and messing up and learning lessons. Like, it's amazing.
I just finished Heavy by Kiese Layman, and it's about basically his relationship to his body, being a larger guy for most of his life.
Yeah.
And then there's this one part, it's a great book, I think people should read it. But there's this one part where I think he's in high school. He's got a friend, and they were like, people would make jokes on each other, but like the white teacher referred to one of the black students as gross.
Dang.
And they would begin, because he wasn't taking showers, or he had something going on at home, he didn't smell good. So they would say you stink, whatever,
Yeah.
but he was like, we all poor. Like, everybody done had a situation where you stink before. So it wasn't as critical as a thing, but the teacher was like, it's gross. She brought the black students together, like, can one of y'all tell him to take showers because he's gross? So they used to tell each other, yo, you ain't gross.
Yeah.
So what's wrong? Like, if you was sad or whatever, like, you're not gross. Let's just start there. You're not like, and that was their way of kind of like telling each other, you're not lesser than. You're not whatever it is you're experiencing in this moment. So what is it that you're really sad about? So we can deal with that, because it's not a permanent, whatever it is, it's not a permanent problem. You're good. And then they also would say, that's that black abundance.
What that mean?
But that was just like their way of being like showing each other love. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's just the way they would kick it. It's a lot of like lingo and terms and slang and like ways that they would talk to each other as like teenagers that was really, really encouraging. And for somebody that was like having issues with their body image, you see like this really loving relationship amongst friends in a school setting, and how those relationships really keep you going.
Is it like his life story in Mississippi?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So
Well, and beyond. So it goes beyond when he goes to college, when he graduates, when he becomes a professor, his relationship with his parents, like it's all encompassing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm seeing more because I have read like some of his work. I haven't read that book though because I felt like it was gonna be emotionally.
It absolutely
is. I was like, I don't know if I want to go there yet, but I might pick it up.
Maybe wait.
Okay.
It is heavy, as the title says.
I've been reading Homecoming, like how to like come back to yourself after like trauma and like reclaim your authentic self by Dr. Thelma Bryant, and it's really, really good. So I might like finish my series of books with her and then visit that book.
Okay, get your Kleenex.
Now I got a question for you.
What'd you say?
So what's something that book has taught you that was unexpected?
Ooh, I think some of what it has taught me was like that I've been on the right path and like how I've been trying to like come back to myself and be my authentic self and be at home with myself. And so it's really been more affirming in many ways. Yeah, I think it's been extremely affirming.
Okay. And then I got a question. So when you talked about Black abundance, is that like Black excellence? Like
No.
what is Black abundance?
Black abundance was like inherent value. Like, because they were going to a black school at first as kids. And then some of the black school kids, they all got split up and they went to like white schools at a point.
Yeah.
I forget exactly what that was. But they started going to this white school and they realized how differently they got treated. I think it was when they realized, oh, we poor compared to somebody. Because before we were all in the same economic status.
Yeah.
And they went there and they started noticing how they was getting treated. And they was like, they might got more money than us, but this that Black abundance. They ain't got
they ain't got this.
You know what I'm saying? It's like they
this.
still ain't got the culture. They still ain't got it don't feel like
It's
this.
a spirit. It's a spirit. That's
so
real.
it was really good.
Oh, that's real.
That's fire.
What have you been reading?
So I've been rereading Push Out.
Okay.
Which is about like how it's about how, because when we talk about the school to prison pipeline, we talk about it as an experience of a boy. Like a young man or a boy that's being caught up in school discipline. But girls aren't caught up in school discipline in that way by mass. They're caught up in a control system. Yeah. So what you wear, how you look, your hair.
It's particularly black girls.
Right. So it's more about containment. And from that containment, black girls get pushed out in that way. Where they're just like, I choose not to go to school.
And like where your body is policed.
Exactly.
And you're sometimes made uncomfortable by how like people police your body and what's the word I'm looking for? Target your body and adultify black girls.
And so it talks about all that as a form of like disciplining black girls. And so what happens is that they'll get used to navigating that system, but then when they rebel, then they're criminalized for that rebellion and their expression in a different way. Yeah. So I've been rereading School Push Out just as we do more work with young folks. It was one of the first books I ever read when it came to young people.
One of my first times getting in trouble in school was, in middle school, was the gym teacher had told somebody to take their hat off, and maybe me too, and I feel like he was picking on people. And so I just kind of went off on him. And I think I probably did. Yeah. But I felt like I was taking up for people and myself. But the guidance counselor told on me and said, yeah, she was in there with her neck moving and stuff like that. And I got in trouble. And I was like, I think they had a fusion of misogyny in it.
Yeah, all day, every day.
Okay.
All day, every day. And so it was interesting. And the reason why I came back to Push Out is because there was a conversation. I'm curious on what y'all think about it. But it was a conversation I can't remember who said this, but it was a conversation online about how black excellence is a scam that replaced black power. I can't remember. Somebody said that online.
It was Vic Mensa.
Was it? Yeah. I think it was 19 Keys,
19 Keys.
Oh, Vic, it was 19 Keys, but Vic Mensa posted a video about the 19 Keys.
Was talking about it, so it brought me back to...
And this is not an endorsement of anyone.
Absolutely,
no, absolutely not.
not.
But the topic is, I think, is very interesting because the first thing I thought about was Nixon saying that... Richard Nixon saying kind of like black excellence is the form of black power that he would...
It's like black power is like black businesses and black excellence and
Yeah, so...
I want to get into that, but I want to hold.
Okay.
We're going to get into that in a minute.
For sure.
So let's move because we got a big thing we got to talk about here in a minute. Yeah. But on this day in history, I got a good one. Who want to go first?
I can go after you.
That didn't sound
So
confident.
that means you gonna go first.
No, I'm gonna go after Mike.
I think you should go before me.
I think I should go. Okay, well,
You
mine
want rock,
is-
paper, scissors for it?
Sure. Yeah.
So do y'all do rock, paper, scissors, shoot?
Oh, wait. Jamel, you want to go first?
No.
No. Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, duh. That ain't how I go.
Yeah.
You ready?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. 2 out of 3.
Just the first.
We might have to cut this. We gonna edit this and just show the
No.
winner.
Let people know.
Okay.
No.
Here we go.
Rock,
Like,
paper, scissors.
She's like, I want you to see the whole thing.
That's one.
You won.
Okay.
So am I going first or you going
Yeah,
first?
you're first.
Okay. So
You should just went first the first time.
Okay, so my history is on April 7th, 1712.
Ooh,
Ooh.
17. Oh.
Okay, I
Okay,
have to
let's
take
go.
it
Okay.
back.
Let's go in chronological order. Mine is 1915. When is yours, Jamel?
1960.
You last. Okay, cool.
So April 7th, 1712, because my God, our people have been fighting. Fighting is not new to us.
Take us
Our
there.
people know how to endure. Our people know what it means to fight for our collective liberation.
Come on.
Not just black excellence. And so April 7th, 1712, enslaved Africans in New York, particularly in New York, we don't often hear about rebellion in that way, but in New York led a rebellion against the enslavement of themselves and their people to fight for their freedom.
That's fire.
Yeah.
So that's interesting you say that because Manhattan actually has the largest enslaved African burial ground. And so what happened was they was about to build a skyscraper, and then
And they
they just found like this mass grave. And so in the middle of Manhattan, it's like this little museum that's like I don't know how to say that, but it's like a museum that's an all to them.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes we neglect to acknowledge the way in which African people, our people were enslaved in the
No, for
North,
real.
but that actually did happen. Is we want to act like the North is so much better than the South, and I'm like, no, the entire country sees us and has seen us as capital.
Was it considered like a successful rebellion, or like what is the
They
outcome?
doubled down on enslavement. Like
Yeah.
they doubled down on it in the same way they've done, in many ways when things haven't been gone the way that we wanted them to. They doubled down on it. But soon.
That's interesting that you say that, and I don't know whether this takes place in the storyline, but there's one point in time during like the colonial era of the Americas where the Africans are ship hands. They're indentured servants. So they use their labor as currency to get here to pay for their voyage, right? So once they get here, they're not technically slaves. Then all of a sudden there's a shift towards chattel slavery, and then they go and just take them and make them into reduce them down. So that's interesting that you say that, because I'm pretty sure what's happening in that moment is they're trying to enshrine the institution of chattel slavery, right? So they transition from like an indentured servant to a chattel slave.
What I felt that was before 1712 though, wasn't it?
But it's a process. So like, although the law might have passed, it's like it's gonna be ongoing. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, I hear you.
Word. I'm gonna jump into mine. April 7th, 1915. The great Billie Holiday was born
Oh, that's
in Philadelphia. This is where the story gets interesting. And shout out to NPR, because I found this article in NPR that blew my mind. So the song "Strange Fruit," popularized by Billie Holiday. That song originally started as a poem
Oh,
by a man named Abel Mirapool. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name. Abel writes a poem in the Teachers Union paper in the Bronx, New York. This is sometime, they don't have the exact date, but sometime between 1937 and 1939. He writes a poem, which is the lyrics to "Strange Fruit." Abel is a member of the American Communist Party.
Oh.
He writes this poem.
Oh.
He adds some music to it and plays it for a club owner.
That's good. That's good, bro.
The club owner says, "Billie, you need to hear this." Billie, according to her account, co-writes the music to "Strange Fruit." I did some digging on this. There's some discrepancy there.
Of course.
Some people say she didn't write nothing.
Of course.
Some people say we don't know. But as he said, she said, we don't know. Okay, I believe Billie. Whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Gotta rock with Billie, though.
They got the song. Billie sings the song in 1939. You know what else happens in 1939?
What else?
Start of World War II.
Wow.
World War II starts in 1939. The other thing that starts in 1939 is television. The first commercial is aired at the World's Fair
Oh, you going wild.
in 1939.
You going crazy, bro.
Strange Fruit gets sang in that same year,
You going crazy.
right?
Yeah.
So Abel, the poet, he wrote this. The government's trying to figure out, were you paid by the American Communist Party to write this? Because at the time, the American Communist Party had a penchant towards civil rights.
Yes.
Abel is a Jewish and Ukrainian man from the Bronx.
You going crazy, boy. You going crazy. I just want to let you know you going crazy right now.
He's Jewish and Ukrainian from the Bronx and plays it for a black woman that's from Philadelphia in New York that sings it in 1939.
Does he mean it to be about
huge.
the lynching of
Absolutely.
black?
He wrote the poem because he saw a picture of a lynching.
Oh, my gosh.
And it led him to write that poem.
Yeah.
So it shows how our struggles are interconnected, right? Because at this time, you were Jewish, his parents is Jewish and Ukrainian, immigrants into the U.S., you're not treated you're still somewhat considered a second-class citizen, even though this is a white man.
Right.
But you're experiencing some of these hardships, and your politics at this time is with the party.
Come on, talk about that.
He leaves this is where it gets crazy.
Yeah, keep going.
This doesn't have nothing to do with Strange Fruit, but it's the rabbit hole.
Yeah, come on.
He leaves the American Communist Party. Later on, there is a couple. The first husband and wife execution in the U.S. 2 communist members who they executed them because they said they were trying to get nuclear codes to the Soviet Union. I don't know if that's true or not, but they electric chair executed them.
Dang.
They were members of the Communist Party at this time. At least publicly, Abel is no longer a member of that party. Their kids.
Okay, here we go.
The executed couple.
Yeah.
Their kids go to a Christmas party at W.E.B. Du Bois's house.
What?
You going
The
crazy,
poet
bro.
and his wife are also at that Christmas party and
crazy.
adopt the kids.
I did not know that.
This is wild.
I did not know it was going to go there.
You can't make this up.
They adopted the kids, bro.
They adopted the kids and raised them. But the poet also went by a different name for a period of time. He was going by the name Lewis Allen, which was the names of his stillborn children. He had 2 stillborn kids, Lewis and Allen, and he took that name as his writer name. So he wasn't known as his real name for a long time. But that was him. And they met these kids at W.E.B. Du Bois' Christmas party at his house and adopted them.
I wonder how they ended up at W. Du Bois' house.
I don't know. Maybe some more digging to reveal it. That was just a crazy.
It's also really interesting and helpful to me.
Because that was also, by the time they adopted kids, this is like, I think they adopted kids around 57, 58.
Got you.
Sometime around there. But yeah, that American Communist Party, I think, is probably no more at this point, or they've gone underground or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because there's been intentional propaganda and government repression of folks who are communists and in the party, and so that's wild.
Wow, that's crazy.
And particularly, next time we can get in the role of black liberation and communism.
Yeah.
And where our people land.
That civil rights connection to the Communist Party, that is terrifying to the United States government.
Absolutely.
At the time. They are terrified of that idea.
Look,
especially that's
why they give us the individualism.
Especially for a song like as soon as Billie sang Strange Fruit, it was because at that time people wasn't even having conversations about lynchings because it was so dangerous. It's like we're not even gonna talk about what
and
we
it was
seen.
so frequent.
So let alone sing about it.
Yeah.
So and then to be singing about a thing, this is the point I wanted to land on. To be singing about a thing when this new technology that can spread in mass instantaneously.
Yeah.
Wow.
When that happens, the level of fear that has to occur in order to prevent people from pushing that stuff all over, because just like similarly to art, our movements evolve based upon the technology of the time.
Yeah.
There's a time where you have to record your music, you have to put it on vinyl.
Yeah.
You only get 15 minutes per side or whatever it was. So you can only have an album that's 30 minutes long, so songs are going to be about 2-3 minutes each. Once the CD comes, you got people doing 10-minute songs. You're able to change things. You got double disc. You can put it in the car. All of these things change with technology. Same with art, like any form of visual art or whatever it may be. You got AI art now that's happening. You got all of these different forms of art that evolve via technology.
Wow.
Same with our movements. Our movements have to evolve with the technology of the time. If we're not using and adapting to new technologies and finding ways to make that advantageous to us, then we're doing it wrong. Because you have to, that's the only way we're going to progress. Ain't nothing new under the sun. We know all of these things have happened before, but what hasn't happened before, at least to our knowledge, is the technology.
Yeah,
That's good.
That's real.
Because like you said, I think movement has to be on the innovative edge.
Every
Every time it has to be. It has to be expansive and on the innovative edge. So my history has more or less to do with like a range of the time that April 7th is in. So April 3rd, 1964, Malcolm X gives a speech in Cleveland, Ohio, saying that he is officially leaving the nation. April, I think, 13th, 1964, he delivers the speech, Ballot or Bullet, right? Which was interesting and very understood is what I want to say. Because a lot of people just hear the title and they don't really read what he actually saying in the speech, which they do that to him often. And so the Ballot or Bullet speech is about, hey, this is an olive branch, and we really want you to rock with us. That's really the whole thing is about like, in order for black folks to move forward collectively, we need people to work with us.
Yeah.
It's really about that, right? But people look at just the title and be like, he's talking about something violent. When he's really talking about the most peaceful way to get improvement.
That's why he's saying this
community.
or that, which is similarly to Dr. King's "Where Do We Go From Here?"
Community or chaos.
Yeah, cause that's it. Community or chaos.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just repackaged in a different way, and folks just I don't know. So that's my thing.
So I've been working my way through Community of Chaos.
Yeah.
Dr. King was popping big shit.
Man. Also, when he wrote that book, people didn't like him.
No, and you can tell.
People didn't like him when he wrote
and
that book.
And I also understand why.
Yeah.
He says a lot of things in that book that feel a little conservative.
Yeah.
He says he was not with the slogan Black Power. He didn't like it.
No, he didn't like it at the time.
He talked about how he had a conversation with Kwame and them about it.
Yep.
And they agreed to disagree. But it's just very interesting to see where his politics were. Also, that was the last book he wrote.
Yep.
So it makes me curious about where his politics would have evolved to had he experienced the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for real.
Ooh, and I think, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's a famous video of him walking next to Kwame Ture, and I can't remember where they are. They might be in Mississippi or something. And the reporters just going back and forth. They like, well, Kwame said Black Power is the last former meeting he was at. King, how you feel about that? King is just like, well, I don't really feel comfortable with it. Then Kwame Ture just like, well, he gonna have to get used to the times.
In Martin Luther King's book, he says, Kwame tells him, we invited you to come here because we wanted to force you to choose a side for or against Black Power because we knew it was going to get the media that we needed to get so we can push the phrase.
Well,
Martin Luther King said, I've been used before. One more time won't hurt. We agree to disagree.
not as well. So yeah, I love that history.
Yeah.
Y'all took it through here. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, good history.
Well,
lessons.
also, Malcolm would have turned 100 in May.
Oh,
so we actually have
this
100
one.
years
Yeah. Oh my
of Malcolm
goodness.
X. So that's why I've been really trying to.
You've been trying to really
I've been
dive
really-
into read
dive
more,
into 'em a lot.
study. Oh man, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. And it's interesting because I know so much of what we study we study so much, but I feel really connected to what happens and goes on in Southern organizing. But it's so much has also been influenced by the work of Malcolm X as well.
And I think Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, the way that they are popularized and treated by capitalism does them no justice. I think they are the two most misunderstood historical figures in the history of the earth. Because if we understand them right, then I think we actually pick up on their lessons.
Yeah. The lessons.
We
is
got to
real.
get Spike Lee on the pod, ask him what he think.
Yo, if you want to know what I really been on, if you want to know what I really been on,
Come on.
If you want to be entertained and see what it's like for two people to beef using the paper and really interested in what it would look like on Instagram to this day.
Yeah.
Amiri Baraka and Spike Lee got into it over the Malcolm X movie. Yeah. And the reason is Amiri Baraka was saying that Spike Lee, in order to be salacious, is going to make a couple things. But one thing I can remember he said is that he's going to focus too much on Detroit Red and not enough on Malcolm X. Mm-hmm. When actually he spent the majority of his life as Malcolm X, Al Malik Shabazz. And so what ends up happening is Spike Lee does that. And then the second piece, he was like, in order to keep with the status quo imagery of a black woman, he's going to cut out black women that were foundational to Malcolm X becoming who he is. One specific character is his sister, who actually was in the nation before he was. And if you read the Alex Haley book, she's all throughout it, right? What's interesting is Alex Haley came out in support of Spike Lee after Amiri Baraka said that Alex Haley was wrong as well.
It was just like everybody.
So
and the Garveyism point too.
Exactly. Yeah. So he also cuts out that not only was he cuts out Malcolm X's father's Garveyism, but also his mother. If you look at the movie, his mother is just a passive figure, but his mother's actually a Garveyite as well. Yeah. So they kind of cut all of that out.
And they sprinkled it because they were like, his mama was like, don't eat no pork when he was in jail.
Right.
And he was like, I heard my mama say something like this when he was talking to the dude from the nation. So they kind of sprinkled like his mother's influence, but they don't really ever go into it.
No, and if you read like for instance, Malcolm went to Africa twice on a pilgrimage to Mecca. In the movie, he only go one time. So it's like, it's certain things that you completely miss. Yeah. But Alex Haley was like, well, let's stop going against Spike Lee and let him make the movie first and then come out against him.
And then he made the movie and did everything.
but didn't Alex Haley have a vested interest in the film?
Yes. The other thing is, at first, I can't remember his name, but it was a white guy that was supposed to be the director. And so people responded very negatively to that.
Oh, that's how Spike Lee. And then Spike Lee put himself in the movie too, didn't he?
Right, but then
for sure.
that's why also Amiri was going at Spike Lee, because he was like, Spike Lee ain't a good choice either. And then Amiri was like, y'all manufactured this beef so we would feel comfortable with Spike Lee doing this. Like, Amiri was like, this ain't no real issue. Y'all did this.
Where you find this, Jamel?
Man, listen.
I wish they had this on Instagram.
Dr. Jared Ball opened the door, and I fell directly into I mean, they going at it in the paper. If you literally Google Amiri Baraka,
Shout out to Black
they
Power
write
Media.
letters to the editors?
Yes, they going crazy. I mean, at one point in time, Amiri Baraka's like, well, I mean, Spike Lee got $80 million to do the movie. Spike Lee respond, be like, we only got $20 million and Oprah paid for the rest. That's how they going back and forth on the Oprah.
Again, technology of the time.
Right. One thing I did not know is that folks like Oprah, Michael Jordan, like the entertainers and stuff, actually paid for Spike Lee to do the movie in that way. So they actually had some interesting sway over the presentation of Malcolm X. And we know Michael Jordan don't have politics. He literally said, everybody wears Jordans.
Yeah.
Like when they asked him about the situation.
And Oprah,
so just think about those people actually defining how Malcolm X is showed. And that was the Amiri Baraka's issue.
Okay, we're going to push. We're going to push. This I'm locked in, though.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. If I can say one
go ahead.
say one more thing. So this was the hook. Okay, this was like the TKO, because Spike Lee won it. I'm just gonna let you know right now, Spike Lee won it. So Spike Lee went in Amiri Baraka went in the paper and said something about Spike Lee not being around when Malcolm X was in Brooklyn. Spike Lee say, I was 8 years old.
Stop. I already know what this is. I can't do it. No.
And this is a direct quote.
Do it.
Spike Lee in the paper, bro. He said, I was 8 years old when Malcolm X was assassinated. Amiri Baraka was married to a white woman in Manhattan. So what was his excuse? And boy, I was like, oh, it's over. TKO, bro. TKO.
We need a rap battle.
TKO, bro.
We need them on URL.
But I just had no idea that they was beefing like this. I was like, I just didn't even know.
And then they spread each other, talking about each other business.
Yeah, just going crazy.
In the paper, though.
Oh, not the tabloids. In the actual paper.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Man.
So that was yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look.
Okay.
If you're in the Middle Tennessee area and you're interested in more, Black history. If you're interested in learning more about how Southern Black organizing has been pivotal to the progress of our people, join the Southern Movement Committee.
No, for real.
Our last community dinner was so fire.
That was fire, bro.
And at that community dinner, I want you to go into like some of what we learned during that community dinner. We do community dinners every month to help people learn more about history and also civic engagement around the local budget and how local politics work. So go into that lesson because we was locked in.
Jamel's a phenomenal teacher.
No, that's a fact. He the
Really,
best.
you are. Give it that you're a public figure, but you also an amazing
A public
teacher.
school teacher. Oh, a public school teacher too. I rep that boy because in public schools you got to teach everybody.
Nah, for real.
You know what I'm saying? So I think history, the way our organization use history as a tool, right, is that there's lessons that we can learn from those historical examples, right, and there's also lessons that we know generationally, but we forgot. So one thing that we've been talking about that's been happening lately is the Target fast, right?
Right.
The national boycott against Target, which is for us, which for me is like our people trying to wake a memory up, right? And so at our last mass meeting, we talked about boycotts and how they've been used in the past. So there was the Montgomery bus boycott that lasted 381 days. But before the Montgomery bus boycott that takes place in the 50s, there's the 1905 Nashville streetcar protest, right? Because what's happening in Nashville in 1905 is the state had passed one of the first Jim Crow laws in Tennessee, where they had segregated streetcars. And the black community in Nashville was like, yo, we don't like that, right? And so they started to boycott the streetcars. Then they created an alternative to the streetcars called the Union Transportation Company. A person that we know that's pretty important in Nashville that has buildings named after him, Napier, was one of the businessmen that kind of led that. Napier was also one of the first black folks elected after emancipation. So what ended up happening, though, is within the year, by 1906, the streetcar company fails, the Union Transportation Streetcar Company. And then the protest ends, right? And then, as you know, Jim Crow laws continue to pass, segregation continues to happen, right? And so one thing we talked about is, looking back on that, if you were planning the Montgomery bus boycotts, what lesson would you have learned to ensure that that boycott lasted longer? Because if we understand that, that's not that far apart.
Yeah,
that's
50
only
years.
Right. So it would have been active in folks' mind. They would have literally looked at it. Couple things that we talked about is, so when Rosa Parks is arrested on the bus, even before that, we know that Rosa Parks did some training at the Highlander School. So this was more or less, we talked about political theater, so this was possibly a planned thing, right? So when Rosa Parks is arrested, there's a group of black women called the Women's Political Caucus, because at this point in time, black women can't participate in civic groups. Black folks in general can't participate in civic groups. Shout out to the Frontiers. But the Women's Political Caucus has a one-day protest in Montgomery. One day, right? And it is so successful that they are able to bring 4,000 people into a mass meeting. And at that mass meeting, they vote on if they're going to continue the boycott. So they vote yes, right? Then they set up another organization, which is also led by Martin Luther King and other folks that are traditional civil rights at the time. They set up the Montgomery Improvement Association. And then that Montgomery Improvement Association is able to use mass meeting, some participatory governance and democracy, kind of like what we use, to keep that protest going for 381 days, which ends in a court ruling that segregated buses, not only in Montgomery, but across the South, are unconstitutional, right? And so what we talked about in the mass meeting is, if we look at these two things, what are the Montgomery bus boycott organizers and mobilizers learned from the Nashville boycott that they then use for this one?
Why did in 1905 you said the Union
Transportation Company.
Why did it fail?
So this is the problem. See, since we're talking about 1905, it's hard to understand. The major point is, since the tactic was to set up a company, when the company failed, the organizing effort, the boycott ended, right?
And it doesn't say why the company failed.
No, it doesn't. So like speculation is going to be, it might have been sabotaged.
Yeah.
It might have also just been for a lack of actual like economic mobility amongst black folks. Like black folks literally didn't have the income to support it all the whole time. It might have just ran its course because we know business can be volatile.
Yeah.
Right? So it's all of those things. I think one thing that the Montgomery folks learned is that it's important for the process to include the largest amount of people, right? We're talking about 4,000 folks in Montgomery being mobilized through an organization. And I think that's one thing that is difference between the two. We see a company that was started, right? So when a company ends, the boycott ends. But with the Montgomery Improvement Association, they did work with black cab drivers to make sure people could keep participating in the boycott. But the boycott was about a resource that spanned the whole community, no matter how much money you had.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful.
So maybe the key to all our problems is not black business.
That's all I got, bro. I didn't say it.
But do black businesses have their role?
100% they got their role. But we need to be clear about what's a collective thing happening, what is collective power, and what is the power of a business owner.
Yeah.
Because those are two very different
that's
things.
So true.
Yeah.
And the business owner has the autonomy to use their power however they so choose.
Yeah.
Collectively, if we all have power, then that shifts the dynamic that we all experience.
Yeah.
And in Montgomery, in the Montgomery bus boycotts, the Montgomery Improvement Association paid drivers, black drivers, so they could load their fares so everyone could afford it, right? But when the boycott was over, it just went back to normal. So folks ended up just riding the bus because it was a cheaper alternative, right? So even in that point in time, like the Montgomery Improvement Association did pay a little money to black businesses, black cab drivers, but it wasn't something that was going to be able to be sustained.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Did the Montgomery Improvement Association do other work after the boycotts?
I'm not sure. That's very interesting. But they were started to hold the boycott, though.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? To hold the governance of the boycott and to negotiate.
Gotcha.
See, one thing that's important that we talk about often is whenever we enter into campaigns, we have to negotiate.
Yeah.
And so they set up an organization to negotiate directly and get things passed.
And mobilize people.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah. And we use that at our mass meetings so that we can really,
Yeah.
because I think this is the thing. If we never learn from what happened in the past, we're going to repeat the same mistakes.
The lesson. Yeah.
And I think at this point, that's why we see an all-out assault on history in general from this current administration, because if we forget, then we're going to do the same things that we always do. And the problem is that they don't, though. The status quo never forgets what we've done.
They adjust. Yeah.
Y'all seen Silo?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. I'm going to spoil some of it.
Oh, yeah,
It's
got
on
to.
Apple TV?
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, I think it's on Apple TV. Yeah.
You got to spoil it.
Yeah, so
Send the point home.
Silo, okay. One, this is what I want to say.
Yeah,
There's
send the
been a
point
lot
home.
of TV shows coming out about the collapse of America.
And going underground.
Going underground,
Yep.
living underground.
Yep.
There's been a lot of shows about that. I don't know who trying to tell us what.
Nah, for real.
But I'm noticing that that's a common thing. But in Silo, they got, there's some disaster that happens above ground. They have this establishment underground that people live in.
Yep.
And the people that live on the top floors got more money. The people that live on the bottom floors is the poor folks.
Yep. And they workers.
And every so often, those workers rebel against the people on the top
Yep.
floors.
Every time for access.
They put something in the water to make people forget, just have general memory loss.
Really? I
Yep.
didn't get. I watched like 4 episodes. I didn't get to that part.
They put something in the water to have general memory loss,
Yep.
and folks on the bottom floors have some information that they actually retain amongst each other.
Right.
And they write their names on this wall that's underground
Right.
of all the people that participated in past rebellions.
Right.
So they have all of these names, but they don't have the full context and everything of what happened, except some people remember bits and pieces.
Yeah.
What they found was every 20 or so years there was a rebellion.
Yeah.
They put something in the water, and rebellions became like every 100 years.
Yeah.
Because people forgot
Yeah.
what was going
my
on. So now you have if it's every 100 years, now it's a whole new generation that doesn't have that information. And I think that's a very similar tactic that's
for real.
being used on us, where it's like, if we don't know that in 1905 folks started a business to try to solve the issue, rather than this collective shift in power, then we're gonna try that again because logically it makes sense.
Yeah.
And to go deeper on that silo, the folks who decided to put the stuff in the water to make them forget, they built a strategy on how to dispel every attempted rebellion. So they literally never forgot.
Yeah,
so
they had a
at
book.
the top they had a book that was like, if they do this, do this. If they do this, do this.
They're like, if people start spray painting stuff, then you know this is what they're gonna do next. If it's graffiti on the walls, you know this is coming after that.
So while they made them forget, they remembered.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think is happening right now. It's like we have forgotten something.
And they had tactics that was like, if something happens or somebody refuses to clean when they go outside or whatever,
Be prepared.
Then blame whatever failure of the silo was occurring on the people in mechanical that are on the bottom floor. Say that people in mechanical are trying to prevent our quality of life and make them the scapegoats for whatever is going wrong inside the
Literally
silo.
what is also happening now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so
And
good.
people are literally falling for it.
Yeah.
I think some people remember and forget more than others.
Yeah.
And some of those people voted for the man in the office.
Yeah.
Facts.
They found out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like they just have they just don't understand. Like they found a scapegoat and they're running with it.
Yeah.
And something Jamel's been talking about a lot lately is just how do we retain institutional knowledge?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What does it take for us to write down things that we know, make sure all of the members are aware of this information and we can hold true to what we know to be fact. So even if we're not here no more, they have this information because that's what kept them in power. They didn't even change the way they function, the people in power.
No.
They didn't alter like any of like where their most valuable things were. They didn't change nothing. They was like, we just gonna make them forget.
Yeah.
And we remember. And so we don't have to budge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's why I
that's
think collective
wild.
remembrance.
Yeah.
That's why collective remembrance is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have to
absolutely.
continuously start back over at zero.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy though, because some of that memory is in our DNA and we keep winning.
I do want to bring up like my conspiracy theory. You just
and then
reminded of me of my
I have
conspiracy.
my conspiracy
Okay, come
theory.
on with it.
You just reminded me of my conspiracy theory. So, I rock with me here. Okay. So, I participated in I went and spoke at a youth day at what church was that? It's AME. What church was that?
St. Paul.
Yeah, St. Paul AME. And so one thing that they wanted to talk
Something
about.
else.
What is the thing, girl? It was AME church.
I don't think that's the point.
Yeah, it was
Please
AME
continue.
church. It was AME church. So one thing that we talked about is there's the Bible be about revolution over and over again. It just be about revolution. So it's about there's a story in there that's about a captured people, and they don't know that the wind is around the corner. Mm-hmm. So they're in a foreign land, but they have no idea that like in 2 weeks they actually gonna win, right?
Yeah.
And so the reason why I'm saying that is because I think it's very interesting, like right now, that we have went through a series of popular narratives telling us not to pay attention or participate.
Yeah.
It went from the 92%, people saying 92% rest, and now it's like, hey, don't participate at all.
Just do line dances.
I've heard it. I ain't talking about them. Don't do that. Don't do the trail rides. The trail rides.
No. My conspiracy is connected to that.
But people make.
But they are saying that.
But
That-
people
there are
turn
things like that,
the
yeah.
fun of a line dance
Yeah.
into don't participate because that's rebellion. I'm like, these people doing that line dance didn't tell you that. You just created that.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's we might be so close to a win that people are telling us
Jamel might be preaching.
not to participate
Jamel might be
because the
preaching.
wind is right around the corner. I swear to God.
Put some money on the couch.
Come on.
Put some money
Come
on the
on.
I promise. Ain't that interesting? It's
I
like
gotta touch and agree on that.
it's like that's what my conspiracy part of my mind is going. I saw it
Because
twice.
we were so close in 2020. Like,
And they
like,
told us
And in
that we lost.
2020, they did the same thing.
They told us that we lost. And then we get to talking to people. They like, no, we was behind closed doors saying that y'all was right the whole time. It's like,
Yeah.
we was somebody told us that language wasn't good, right? And so like that's what my conspiracy theory is. It's like we are so close to a win. They're trying to recruit the masses of black folks not to participate. So they don't have the capacity to understand the win or create something new when we get the win.
Yeah, or even to participate in making it possible. Because it's
Right.
like, oh, you might be really close, but it's like you need this other factor.
To cross the finish line.
To
You need
at least
LeBron.
Yeah. Play LeBron video. Where's the song?
A Brownie video. So
Sorry, I'm gonna stop. What did we
they
say?
need LeBron.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, no, for
Come
real.
on. Look.
So that's my
Oh
conspiracy theory.
yes, LeBron. Okay, mine built off of that. I had another one connected to Barack Obama and LeBron, but I'll save that for later, for next time.
No, we're going to get to that. Okay, say the first one.
The first one is actually connected to that. So I don't know if it's a conspiracy per se, but I want to build on it.
Yeah.
One, there's this, I think that the piece around the where them fans at, the line dancing, boots on the ground, some folks are saying like, oh, well, black people are not participating in, you know, marches and rallies and really fighting back against this oppressive and harmful system.
Right.
Like folks are like, we're going to sit this out and we're going to dance and do these line dances. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that's conjuring, right? If the win is like really close, then what are we conjuring when we're dancing in community together? Like what energy and spirit are we trying to are accessing? Maybe on purpose and maybe just out of like they there and they like, well, and I remember Dr. Black said when we were at MLK Day, he said, if we sing, we gonna dance. If we dance, spirit gonna come, and the spirit gonna come, then things gonna change.
Yes,
and so I think there's something to the dancing, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's something to it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, but then I think, what is our work as organizers to shift it? Like, how do we say this is we're building some type of momentum, and how do we channel that momentum into liberation, collective liberation efforts, into sustaining ourselves through this particular period so that we can get on the other side of victory.
Yeah, and I think it's some folks that are coming to that trail, right? The thing that I've been noticing,
I need a cowboy hats and some boots so I can go organize my people.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's people pulling up because they see a lot of black folks. They like, oh,
what y'all doing?
we over there.
Yeah.
I need to be over there.
What y'all doing over there? See, and I think that's the energy that we need.
Yeah,
right? It's
and on the other hand, I do think there's something to being like, this is a protracted and long struggle, right? It does not, stop and end with this administration. We know that to be true. So what does it look like for black women, the 92%, to be like, you know what, we're going to rest for a year. We're going to figure out who we are, because maybe we shouldn't be engaged in work when we're extremely hurt and unclear and making horrible decisions. Because some people was making some wild, mean decisions after November.
They were saying wild stuff.
And maybe you do need some time. Maybe you do need some time to heal.
Maybe you do.
And that's the beauty in movement.
And maybe also put the phone down.
Maybe do. So you start showing,
Let's do that. Put the phone down.
And so I'm like, maybe it's something. I'm like, also, how do we listen to each other and be like, oh, what you need right now is care. So let's care for you while we also, turn up on this side.
Yeah.
I think those things maybe are what the conversation I'm interested in having. And at the same time, dance for a minute, get in your body, because when I'm in my body, I'm more creative, I'm more innovative. I can see my way through. I can see my way into the future, right? And the path to get there. So maybe let me get in my body.
Yeah, no, for real.
Hey, yo.
Take that out. I'm just playing.
Was that a sacred pause?
That's a secret pause.
No, that's a holy pause.
It's a holy pause.
Give me, okay. I want the other conspiracy theory. Erica got a conspiracy theory.
Okay, we're gonna do this together. When did LeBron James enter the NBA?
What?
When he
was it 2006?
No.
07?
It was before. I think it was 2004.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
LeBron James enters the league in 2004. Okay. Let's check.
LeBron James entered the league in 2004.
Yeah, entered the league in 2004.
When did?
03.
03. Okay.
03 draft.
I know I was in high school.
At this time, I think Barack Obama is on the rise as like a elected official.
He's a senator at this time?
Yeah, I think he's a senator around 06, 07, 06, coming out of Chicago. And so I think that we have LeBron paves the way for Obama. So LeBron gets in
James
office.
Obama
He
elected?
popularizes what it means to be a leader.
Okay.
A father.
A king, really.
A king.
Yeah.
And then President Obama gets elected in 2008.
Come on, cook it
But
up.
what happened the year before? When did LeBron James win his first title? His first championship?
Oh, Lord.
I think it was.
Our researchers are on the job.
Yeah, thank you. We're painting this picture together.
So you saying
2012.
Okay.
2012, right?
Yeah.
So then you get LeBron paves the way for Obama to get in office. Obama then makes a way for then LeBron to take his talents to Miami to get his first win. And then in 2012, remember that Obama had to run again.
Yep.
And he wins that election in the same year that LeBron wins the championship.
Cook it up.
And where was Barack Obama politician in?
In Chicago.
And where was Dwayne Wade born?
Chicago.
Ooh.
See?
Y'all going
See?
crazy right now.
See?
Y'all
It's
going crazy
connected.
right now. Yes,
and
sir.
LeBron has really shown us what it means to be a black father and a black husband to a beautiful black woman. And so I want us to spend more time studying him and his work.
You're talking to the man on the Lakers? Okay. I like it. I'm rocking.
No, I'm rocking with
That's
it.
all
I'm rocking
true.
with it.
All of that's true.
So if you support LeBron, support us.
This should be clipped with a LeBron. It should just turn.
Oh
to
no,
LeBron.
the highlight clip is coming.
Right.
The highlight clip is coming. Okay, all right. This is the Good to Goods podcast.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all so much for being with us. This is the longest podcast we ever did, y'all. I think we had like an
Y'all
hour and a
talked
half.
about a lot.
Yeah. I think
Look,
it's good, bro.
we covered a lot. If you want to engage with the Southern Movement Committee, we got a community dinner on April 15th.
sir.
You can come through, get some food, and learn a little bit. We also got a People's Movement Assembly, a varsity spinning plan. People's Movement Assembly.
Last Saturday this month.
On April 26th, you're going to learn more about the varsity spinning plan as we get into this local budget work in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
Because we know if we fight together, if we work together,
We win together.
and if we win together,
We can
We
change the world.
peace, y'all. This is the Get the Goods pod. Oh, wait, time out. Civil rights.
Oh, yeah.
We got an email address, y'all. Clap it up for the email address.
Yes, sir.
So we got an email address, getthegoodspod@gmail.com.
Okay.
Next episode, we want to talk about civil rights and what you think about it. So
Yeah.
if you have any thoughts around the civil rights movement, if you think that was wrong,
Civil
if you
rights
think we
movement.
should have stayed segregated, if you think integration was the wrong tactic or the right tactic, or you have any thoughts around civil rights movement, questions, send it to getthegoodspod@gmail.com. And you can send us whatever. You know what I'm saying? Your baby mama tripping. We want to hear about it. So send us.
Don't want to hear about that.
I want to hear about it. I would love to hear about it. Send it to me. Get the Goods Pod. Put Mike in the subject line. This one's for Mike. I'm gonna listen to you.
Make
But
peace
look,
with your family.
Get the Goods. You can support your family and still somebody get on your nerves.
That's real.
So
Thank you for saying that. Sometimes we forget.
yeah. So getthegoodspod@gmail.com. Questions, comments, inquiries,
Yes, sir.
any thoughts around what we do up here, please send it to us. We love to hear from you. This is the Get the Goods Pod. We out of here. Peace, y'all.
Peace.